So let's talk about assignment 2. Again, the 5 by 5 matrix, fill it with numbers from 0 to 9. Loop through array with nested for loop, and then sum the numbers for each row. All right. So I'm going to start from a blank program. The first thing we need is a class. Assignment 3 or 2. Inside, we need our main, public, static, void, main, string, args. Those are the basics you need for every program. All right, so from our program, from our directions, we know we need to create a random number generator. So let's import that. Import java.util.random. Let's create that object, random rand equals new random. I'm just creating the random number generator so that we can generate, integers between 0 and 9. Then we create our multi-dimensional array. Let's see. Array or numbers equals new int 5 by 5. Again, this will be 5 rows by 5 columns. All right. So let's fill this in with random numbers. We need two for loops. For int row equals 0. Row is less than numbers dot length. Row plus plus. And we need an inner for loop. And call equals 0. Call is less than numbers at index row dot length. Call plus plus. And then for each index inside of our numbers array, we want to set it equal to a random number. So row by column equals ran.next int. And we want to go from 0 to 9. So I believe next int is inclusive of 9. If not, we'll just redo it. Any questions of what I'm doing so far? Should be pretty straightforward.
No, sir.
All right, cool. It should be pretty straightforward. I created the multi-dimensional array. Then I created the nested for loop right here so that we can iterate through that multi-dimensional array. Once we go into this multi-dimensional array, I access it with the row and column. And I set each index equal to a random number between 0 and 9. All right. So now we need to print out the array and then sum up each row. All right, so let's do that. There's a couple different ways you can do this. I'm going to do a couple more for loops. Now that's an inefficient way of doing it, but again, there's many ways of doing this. As long as your solution works, I'll be fine with it. So I'm gonna do another for loop that prints out the entire array. So system.out.print numbers row call. And then I do need to put a system.out.print line here so that it prints each row on a different line like this. So it's going to print out all these numbers, then go to a new line, then go to a new line, go to a new line. So that's why I just have this empty system.out.print line right here. All right, and I can do another for loop. Now for this one, I'm going to sum up all my numbers. So this first one, populated array with random numbers. This next one, it printed each row, or printed array row by row. And this last one will sum up each row. Sum each row. So I do need an integer, and sum equals 0. And I put it right here so that each time I go through this array or this for loop, when I go to a new row, sum is going to equal 0 again. So now I just add up each number to this sum. And then I print it out system.out.println. How do row, and it wants to start at 1, so I'll do plus row plus 1. Right, so row starts at 0, so I'm adding 1 to that, so it's going to be 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. Concatenate that, row 1 sum, then plus sum. And that should be the full program. All right. Again, this one, I create an integer to keep track of all my sum. Then I add each number inside the array to that sum variable. Then lastly, I print it out for each row. So let's visualize this. All right, I'm missing a couple brackets. System.out.println, system.out.print. What's the issue? Cannot find symbol method print line. Oh, print line. All right. So again, we create our random number generator. We create our multidimensional array, populate that multidimensional array with random numbers. All right. And it goes from 0 to 9 uninclusively. So I would need to change my code a little bit. All right. I populated my array with all these random numbers. Now I'm going to print out each row. And again, I'm going row by row. So it's going to print out this row next to itself. And then when it gets down to this statement, it's going to go down to a new line. So you see it down here, it's printing out that row. And then when it finishes printing the row, it goes to a new line. So here we go. I'm going through. Now we're on row 4. And this has reached its limit, so I'm going to switch to NetBeans. NetBeans wants to work. And of course, NetBeans still doesn't want to work. All right, well, we're going to go to JGraphs then. All right. So JGraphs is a little bit less feature-rich as NetBeans, but it still works for this purpose. I still have the same code in here. All right. So I believe I can debug this as well. I think we were right here. Debugging, again, just means that I can stop it where I want to stop it. You know, I can stop it at that line, assignment 2. Let's see, I'm getting an error somewhere. Public static void main, illegal start type. Let's see. Usually that means, oh, I copied all the numbers in here. That sucks. Let me go back to this. There we go. All right, here we go. Let's try this again. And I apologize if you can hear that alarm in the background. All right, like I said, JGraphs, we can stop it at this line for debugging purposes, and we have all of our arguments right here. We have a random number object over here, our numbers array right here, and then it's going to create the row and column array as well. So where do we step through? Here we go. I want to, I believe this is it right here. Yep. Creates the row and column, and it's going to print out each row line by line. And you see the cursor down here. When I finish printing out a row, it's going to go down to this statement, and the cursor is going to switch to a new line. So I finish that row, and I get down to this statement, right? And the cursor is going to go to a new line. So it repeats this over and over again. Then we come down here, we do another for loop, and we're summing up each row. So I create a sum variable, then I go through the row and I add each index to that sum. So you see sum keeps incrementing over here. Once I finish, then I print it out. Same thing, print it out. And it goes all the way through until the end of the program. Any questions about the assignment?